Welcome back to 3D Dialogue. I'm Jesse Hirsh, and I'm in studio today with Jaswinder Singh, Gatka instructor at the Shahid Baba Deep Singh Akhara. Now, before the break, we were talking a bit about the culture and origins of the Nihang Sikhs, but we didn't get a chance to talk about Gatka, the actual martial art. Perhaps you could elaborate not just on its origins, but its relevance today, and how as a teacher, and as I assume also a student, how you were able to practice here in Canada.
Well, number one, when we teach the kids, it's what we teach is self-discipline.
Mm-hmm.
We teach them focus, right? So it helps them become more confident in their daily life and their schoolwork and whatnot. The origin of Gatka, the formal name for Gatka is the stick, the practicing stick that we use to teach the kids.
Like a staff or shorter than a staff?
It's about, I'd say it's about 2.5 feet long, and it has a handle, right? That's called the Gatka. Right, so the martial arts is known because it's the wielder of the swords. The formal name for Gatka is Shastra Vidya. Right? It's an ancient martial art, right, that was revived by the sixth guru, Guru Har Gobind Sahib, and then the 10th guru basically brought it into full stream and then
formally organized the Nihang Sikhs
around the order of the
Khalsa.
Yeah, that's correct. And the training began because obviously the fifth guru, who was the father of the sixth guru, was arrested and he was martyred. He was killed because he was to implement the name of the Islamic prophet into the holy book. And upon refusal, he was arrested and tortured and persecuted, and then eventually he had to give up his life. He was martyred. So the Sikhs,
which certainly illustrated the need for a self-defense.
Right. So the sixth guru basically, he started training the Sikhs in the martial art. He himself had learned from Baba Buddhaji, who was very well trained in the martial arts. He has the origins of his training go back to Guru Nanak and some other very profound martial artists. And the sixth guru implemented the martial training, and he taught the Sikhs how to ride a horse. And then his saying was that anybody coming from far, or any gifts that were to be given to me, should be of weaponry and horses. And he basically he established the Akal Takht, the supreme seat, or the seat of the Almighty in Amritsar right now.
Now, tell me a bit more. Obviously, the history you've described is very rich and very much situated within the culture of the time. How would you, as someone who's, as you say, born and raised in Canada, be linked up into this tradition and learn this practice, this martial art?
Like I said, it brings confidence, right? So there's advantages to learning it. It's our cultural, way. We should learn it. It's one of those things.
Sort of encapsulates and preserves the culture of the Sikhs and the Nihang Sikhs in particular.
That's correct. It also gives you a sense of confidence, just because you know you can defend yourself in self-defensive forms. Like, I don't think twice of going out into the dark or in a dark alley or just things like that, small things like that.
And I mean, is this something that you chose to learn in terms of an interest, or is it very common for young Sikhs to learn Gatka as part of a natural process?
It's not common, actually. When I started learning, since I was a young child, I saw the videos of the Nihangs in India performing demonstrations and so on. I always wanted to learn. And then I just never had the proper teacher until I met teachers in around year 2000, 2001, and I started vigorous training.
Was it difficult finding a teacher? Is that something that poses an obstacle?
It was a big obstacle. There's not very many people who know the true art, like the purest form. There's a lot of variations of Gatka, but in the true sense, the true form. And then, there's a group of us had started training together, and then...
Well, and I was going to ask, was it natural that you went from being a student to a teacher, or was it something that you were just so inspired in learning yourself that you really wanted to share that with others?
Yes, exactly. I was really inspired because it kind of changed my life in the sense where I became more self-disciplined and I became more physically fit, felt healthier because I was all the vigorous exercises that it demands. And...
Well, and that's an interesting point. I mean, we're talking about it in very ethereal terms, but physically, is it demanding? How difficult was it for you to go from knowing nothing to becoming a teacher?
It was very demanding, actually, because teaching is a whole different realm, as you may know. You have to get the people. Learning discipline is a whole different thing. Teaching discipline is quite different. You have to be very focused. You have to know what you're doing, know what to say, how to convey the message, or how to teach them. Like, if I were to give them a diagram of how to do something, and then actually getting the result from is quite difficult
really
to do it yourself.
Now, you mentioned earlier that the meaning of Gatka sort of implies swordplay. And that sort of begs the question, are there different types of weapons that are taught in terms of the mastery of the martial art, other than swords?
In Jaswinder, yes, you have bow and arrow, you have spears, there's a bunch of other throwing weapons. There's a command krora, there's the straight-edged sword. It's a straight sword and it has double edges, sharp on both ends. The way to wield that, the way to fight with that is different than the curvaceous sword.
I'm also curious, you mentioned the role of horses or equestrian arts. I assume it's perhaps not easy to find a horse, but do you also learn that aspect of the martial art?
We are told to learn the horse riding, but obviously in Canada here it's kind of hard. I mean, you have to go onto a ranch, and you know,
it's not too accessible from a city center.
And the way that the Nihangs possess their horse riding skills is just phenomenal. I mean, they practice about 4 or 5 hours of riding a day, and you have one person riding 4 horses at one time.
Right, so it would be difficult for someone in your position to pick up.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to see the skills of the Nihangs, the Hola Mahalla festival in mid-March in India at the city of Anandpur, you can see tent pegging. The horses come in at very fast speeds. We only have, half an hour, 1 hour sessions with horses, so it's kind of difficult to take that skill.
Well, thank you very much for coming in today. Certainly we've learned a lot about the Gatka martial tradition, but also about the Nihang Sikhs, and certainly thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
That was Jaswinder Singh, a Gatka instructor at Shahid Baba Deep Singh Akhara. When we return, we'll tell you how to get in touch with us. You're watching 3D Dialogue.
This program is brought to you in part by Rogers Wireless and by the Toronto Blue Jays.
Call the Rogers Television Viewer Response Line at 1-800-939-7787 or visit our website with your comments.